Minasan, ohayo gozaimasu. Got some tea this morning. Get this day started. Come on, there you go. There we go. Oh, look at that. Well, kanpai. Minasan, ohayo gozaimasu. Ooh, nah. Good morning to you. So, as I was talking about before, we was talking about being in the fog, and what I was talking about was the conversation I had between me and my sensei, and how she was pointing out that if I'm unclear, right? If I'm unclear on the things that I want to say in Japanese, then I can't even begin to start to translate those unclear things into if I'm unclear in English, I can't even begin to translate the stuff that I want to say, which is already unclear, into Japanese and have a conversation. Because I was telling her I want to be fluent and I want to have experiences. I want to talk to people, but since I don't know what I want to say, and I'm sure, so there's such a lack of confidence on how I want to say things, how I want to convey things without any practice, then guess what? I just gave up. Well, I hit a barrier, and the barrier was all me. So I felt that I needed to get the necessary tools to start to become successful at it. And that's why I went to her, a native Japanese speaker. She's from Japan, and that's my sensei. I can trust her. I can confide in her. I can talk to her. That's the beginning. And what I mean by that is I see what I needed. Well, she pointed it out, but I identified that I had a problem. And pride and, well, I'm going to just do this myself. I'm going to figure it out. I went and asked for help. I went to get help. All right. Because I had come to a crossroads or a fork in the road where either I keep trying to do this my way, which I've been doing it my way for the last 15 years. I've been studying Japanese for about 15 years. But putting a sentence together, nah. I have a pretty good vocabulary. But actually forming sentences using grammar, punctuation, which I got critiqued on that, all of those things help you to become fluent, not just having a vocabulary and knowing what stuff means. So I was at the point where either I keep going my way or I get help, have somebody to actually come and guide me, come alongside me and say, hey, you're doing this wrong. This is where you're messing up. You could say this better. This would be easier if you put this little song with this right here. So, same as tea ceremony. I was interested in the tea ceremony, but until I decided, hey, get books. How do you feel about this and this going together? And I was looking at this morning, a lot of the tea ceremony in Japan had influence by the communion. And there's a parallel between communion, which is a spiritual thing, and the tea ceremony, which is a social mindfulness. It can be spiritual for yourself if you make it that way, but it can be social too. But there's parallels there. And, I've done earlier this year, I've done a whole thing on the Japanese tea garden. I mean, the rock garden, Zen garden, and tea ceremony, and all of the elements and things like that. So we're going to continue that later. But right now, I'm fighting fear and failure. So, being in the fog brought me to this point where I needed to make a choice. Either head down the path I always took, which is unsuccessful, or go down the path of success and get there with help. Your vision always carries you. I mean, it's always going to be bigger than you. So you're going to need help, because if you could do it on your own, you wouldn't need God. So God, I'm pleading God, hey, all right, you got this before me. You want me to do this. I need help. So he's putting people in place and things and opening up doors for me to experience things to get me in a place where I'm doing the message that he's called me to do. So I decided to get off of that path of unsuccess. I don't want to say failure, because failure is not a bad thing. But to put it more accurately, I was not being successful. So it was a path of unsuccess, right? So since I was down the path of unsuccess, what we do is we get faced with problems, things, obstacles come up, and then we get on and off that path of success. We're going the right way. We're going the way our vision takes us, and then a problem comes up, and what I was saying before, fear of failure or fear of failure takes us right off of it. If we're riding down the highway, we just go on the off ramp and traffic. I don't know if y'all ever done that. I'm from Atlanta. You go on 285 and the next thing you know, it looked like it stopped. I'm getting off. I might be going to flat shows and I'm getting off on Boulder Crest. I'm like, just, not even close to where I want to be, but I can find my way by taking side streets and stuff like that. So I wrote a little thing about being on and off the path of failure. And when we find ourselves on the path of unsuccess, like I said, we get off that off ramp. I was looking at what keeps us on the path. And the things that keep us on the path, well, the one way I was looking at how to stay on the path was by not getting off. And what keeps us on the path of unsuccess? What helps us to get off of this thing, or what makes us get off in that and just go on that way? And usually, three things. I was like, give me three things that help me to understand why we all do this. We all do this. So, first off, we don't want to take the responsibility. What I mean by that is, okay, I'm doing these things I'm supposed to do. I'm trying to do this. I'm doing this, but this obstacle comes up to block me, to teach me a lesson, and I don't want nothing to do with it. That lesson's too hard. So what I do, I blame shift. I don't do I don't take responsibility for it. And when we blame shift, first thing we say is, it's not my fault. I can say all day long, hey, I've been studying Japanese for 15 years. It's not my fault that I didn't get it. Once we take responsibility for ourselves and say, okay, I messed up. Somewhere along this line, I'm not doing something right. And the greatest thing that I ever did on this journey was to go to Japanese school in Savannah. This is where I met my sensei. I said, it's not working on my own, so I have to do this the right way. and get, professional help or go to school. So that made things a lot better. And blame shifting takes it out of our hands and puts it into somebody else's. The bad part of that is, it takes the responsibility off us. It says, okay, it's not my fault. It's their fault. But it also puts it on them. They have control over your life or your vision over your success. What you're essentially saying is, if they choose to make you successful, they can do it. It's not up to you. God can't help you. It's only them. So we don't want to go down that path, because that keeps us in them, going to them always saying, well, am I successful yet? Am I successful yet? Am I successful yet? Another thing that keeps us off of the path of success and riding down that path of unsuccess is giving up. There was a time where I wasn't getting it. Japanese was just not coming to me. I could try all day long to form a sentence. And I can go to Google Translate and then it said this, so I'm gonna say it this way. I say it that way, and people like, what you do? Go to Google Translate? So I don't really have a trust for Google Translate, and I throw my hands up, just like, forget it. It ain't working. I'm gonna try something else for right now. I'm gonna put this on the back burner, and I just give up for now. This is why 15 years later, I'm still at a intermediate beginner level. So giving up is a surefire way to stay on that path of unsuccess. I don't know who said it, but in basketball, a coach always says, you hear it a million times, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Now, it can be bad. I was looking at statistics for Michael Jordan. Everybody knows he got cut from the high school team, even though he's the greatest basketball player of all time during his time. Think about this, though. I think he missed over 2,600 shots over his career. And he's lost roughly about 300 games during his career. But if he missed, so many shots, does that say, okay, it's time to do something else? If Thomas Edison, didn't really work on the light, he's just like, this is not working out. I'm not getting the results that I wanted. Maybe it's impossible. Or the Wright brothers, when fly, nobody can fly. If God wanted us to fly, He would give you wings, of course. But after test 1, after test 2, after test 3, and it's not working, instead of trying to figure out, if you just said, well, maybe it's just not meant to be. That's my, it's not going to happen. If you give up, then you definitely lost. You definitely on that path. Then it's a failure, the bad type of failure. It's a very big unsuccess because you stopped. The last thing, number 3, that keeps us on that path of not being on the path of success, but the path of unsuccess, is excuses. This usually comes from that great thing. It's almost the same as blame shifting. This is the reason why I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. It keeps us in that place where we're comfortable. It's because we're comfortable where we are. I don't go there because, I haven't taken a flight to Japan and just be totally submerged into 100%, where I'm not leaving until I speak it. What's stopping me from doing that? I mean, me. One thing, I don't feel like I need to do that. But if that's what I want, if that's what the vision calls for, what will I have to do to get that? You remember, and I always say this, remember this. For everything that you want, you got to pay a price for it. Are you willing to pay that price? There's, some outrageous things I could do to really get to where I want to be. But am I willing to pay that price? Am I willing to give up on some of the things other things that I'm working on, other things that I'm striving for to get that? If you would, if you want that brand new Ferrari, but right now you're riding a bike, what kind of sacrifices are you going to have to make to get to where you get into that car? It's going to take a lot. And are you willing to do that? It's not impossible. Nothing is impossible. Especially if God gave you the vision for it. There's nothing impossible. The biggest obstacle is going to be you. So every reason that you have not to move forward, usually you agree it's a valid reason and you stick with it. That's my story and I'm sticking with it. And we stay on that path of unsuccess. So if that's you, if you're falling in those three categories, like being in the fog, staying in that fog by blaming others, having your success in somebody else's hands, or if you're just giving up, or you have you're just comfortable where you are, the complacency of just, I need to stay where I am because if God wanted me to move, he'd move me. But, it takes two to tango. What can you do today? Let's think about this. What can you do today to change from that unsuccess path, the path of unsuccess, to the path of success? What I want you to do is to really just identify those things that are really holding you back. What is it about you that's holding you back? And once you can figure those things out, you'll see that everything might be cloudy and you might be in the fog, but a little ray of light will come. That's hope. And what we do is focus on that hope. And the more we focus on it, the more clear that path will be. Now, it's up to you to choose to walk that path, but it'll be clear. Hey, I need to do this. This is my next step. And if you don't choose to take it, either something else will have to come up, or you'll stay on that path of unsuccess until you take that step. So, that being said, I love you very much. I'm walking with you. Y'all keep praying for me. I'm praying for you. So, much success to you. Kampai. Boom.